Happy New Year. It's 2024. 2023 is in the rear view mirror. We got some opportunities for some teams to just absolutely destroy some people's years with some performances coming down the stretch here. But we got some performances to talk about. So let's not waste any time. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know what time it is. It is time to review the action that just took place in the NFL. NFL week number 17. It just went down. Some teams have clinched the number one seed in the NFC, clinched the number one seed in the AFC, clinched. Now all that's left is some of the house cleaning to clean up some of these lasting scenarios out there. So without further ado, we're going to break it all down. Let's start the show. Welcome back. Come back to another edition of the good, the bad, the ugly. You know what time it is. It is NFL week number 17. It is time to review. We had a lot of action over our New Year's Eve weekend from Thursday to Sunday. And man, oh man, did we have just some joyous fans out there, some clinching division fans, some playoff clinching division fans right there. There were a lot of joys out there, and some of those joys came from my partner over here. Hi, how's it going? I am Jacob Keller, one half of the Sports Guys, and as always, joining me, he is the other half of the Sports Guys, and I am positive a very happy fan starting off 2024. He is none other than Mr. Brandon Sullivan. Brandon, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Definitely happy, but job's not finished. 49ers, Celtics, all my teams have been in these positions before. It's just the start of everything. Obviously you're in the best position possible, clinching the number one seed. You want that for your basketball, your football team, whatever it may be. But not satisfied. I've tasted this before. This isn't anything to me. Unless we host that Lombardi Trophy, to me, this season is a failure. So we have to capitalize and get it done because our guys are running out of time. Some of our veterans, windows, could be open long for Brock, but just, taking it one day at a time, one game at a time, not getting too far ahead of myself, just hoping, obviously the best outcome.
Yep.
It happened. So hoping that we can capitalize off of that.
I like it. Yeah. You know what a weekend of football it was for Niners fans. That's for sure. I mean, the Eagles taking a devastating loss there against the Cardinals. We will definitely talk about that. And then the Ravens absolutely stomping the Miami Dolphins. I mean, statements were made in these these number one seed clinching games. So a lot happened, a lot to talk about. Let's quickly talk about how we did last week. Let's put it up on the screen. For yourself, 10-8, 1-0 on the guaranteed victory, having our double guaranteed victory on the Niners last week. For myself, 8-8, just cracking 500, going 1-0 on my guaranteed victory. Like I said, a double guaranteed victory. We knew the Niners. 10 and hang on, sorry. 10 and hang on. 10 and 6, excuse me. 10 and 6, 10 and 6. And then for myself going 8 and 6, I was adding 2 games in there. And then 1-0 on my guaranteed victories overall for the season. That puts us at, for yourself, utter domination. 162 and 94, 14 and 3 on your guaranteed victories. For myself, 149 and 105. You have yet to crack 100. Can you just lose 3 or less games this week to stay below 100 losses on the season? That'd be pretty incredible. 149 and 105 for myself, 12 and 5 are my guaranteed victories. And then for our special guest, 52 and 38, 3 and 3 on their guaranteed victories. Let's wipe those off the screen. Let's get started. What do you got for me? Let's celebrate if you want to. What good do you got for me from week number 17?
Yeah, I mean, just obviously the 49ers, coming back, bouncing back after that horrific game. I kind of had a feeling that they would. I mean, Washington, a good bounce back team.
Yeah.
Brock kind of picked up right where he left off, did what I expected him to do, was to have a pretty good game and to kind of get that game out of his system. So I'm glad that he had this before the bye, and, he was able to kind of build some confidence there. Obviously, a surprising turn of events, Detroit losing, and also, I mean, a huge victory for the Cardinals in Philadelphia. I don't think there's a person on this planet, that at least we know of, that would have picked
agreed,
the Arizona Cardinals to win that game. So they came through and they won the game. That was huge. Credit to Kyler Murray, Kyler Magic are down the stretch, just coming through and just, a gritty win on the road, to drive them down the field, to score a touchdown with less than 30 seconds left, or around 30 seconds left. They showed clips of the 49ers players watching the end of that game. It was kind of fun to see. They just, whatever it takes, man. You never know what's going to happen in an NFL week. You don't know. We could have went out to the Rams, this week and lost that game, and guaranteed number one seed's never guaranteed. So I don't think it was an overreaction. I think it was awesome that the 49ers were able to kind of celebrate that together after, a rough game on Christmas.
Yep.
Big game for the Cardinals and the 49ers, and obviously hate to see what happened to Detroit. Still a big help for the 49ers being able to take this week off. And then, we saw, I thought New Orleans, they looked really good. I was surprised that they went into Tampa Bay. Yeah, I was surprised they went into Tampa Bay and played the way they did. It was pretty much dominant. I don't think the score tells the whole story. I think New Orleans dominated that whole game, and we got some garbage points there. Yep. And and then obviously Baltimore coming out and destroying Miami. And so that was a big victory for them. And Houston, obviously CJ Stroud having a big game, 26-3. The Houston's defense came up big. So, a huge shout out to D'Amico Ryans for getting that defense ready and holding Tennessee to essentially no points. And last but not least, huge victory for Pittsburgh. It gives Mike Tomlin obviously no losing season yet, which is an incredible stat. I mean, if you think about it, this has been since I was in high school. Since we were in high school, he's been coaching. So, he's just a good coach.
He's a winner.
He does it. Yeah, and he does a lot with not having much. So
agreed.
Mason Rudolph, going in there to Seattle. It's never an easy place to play. Geno Smith back, but getting a big victory. So I'm happy because I don't like Seattle. I'm not a big fan of Pittsburgh either, but obviously I wanted Seattle to lose that one. But what you got for me, Jake?
Yeah, with that being said, let's let the folks know what the current playoff picture is looking like right after week 17. So we'll put that up on the screen. Yeah. So like you said, the Ravens clinching the number one seed with a dominating performance there against the Dolphins, right? Lamar Jackson throwing 5 touchdowns. Will that solidify him the MVP? We shall see. Some naysayers to pull from the weekend. Some naysayers may say that he hasn't done enough. And others may say that he has done enough. He clearly is the MVP of the NFL. I'll tell you what, but choosing between Lamar Jackson, Brock Purdy, and Christian McCaffrey, that is one hell of a conference that I wouldn't want to be a part of, because that's going to be a tough debate. Are you going to go with stats? Are you going to go with just what they're bringing to their team? We'll see what happens. Then you have the 49ers clinching the number one seed. They did it. The road to the Super Bowl as it currently stands rolls through Levi Stadium, rolls through Santa Clara. The Niners will essentially have 3 weeks off since they're going to rest some of their starters, but realistically 2 weeks off before they have to play. So this time is crucial for this team and crucial for Brock Purdy. Remember, coming back off of season-ending UCL surgery, sometime career-ending UCL injury. So the San Francisco 49ers, the number 1 seed, getting the job done. Hats off to them, right? Hats off to them. The Rams, right? Currently sitting at the 6th seed. Fighting, clawing, doing everything that they possibly can to get into the playoffs. They are on a win and in situation, basically. And it's coming down. I mean, it's going to be a epic fight to the death for some of these teams. But what other good do we see around the NFL? CJ Beathard, right? Doing what a backup needs to do, getting the Jags a much needed victory there against the Panthers. I mean, man, talk about slipping. The Jags slipping. I mean, coming down to a make it or break it game next week. Jags getting the job done. You already shouted out the Saints. The Cardinals, I mean, getting the job done there on the road.
Thank you, Kyler.
I mean, Kyler Murray, the ultimate villain, right? Walking in there with the Pittsburgh Penguins jersey, Sid the Kid on, their ultimate villain. And he just goes in there and just ends any hope for the Eagles to get that number 1 seed. Legendary, right? Already shouted out the Rams getting the job done. The Colts knocking off the Raiders to keep pace with the Texans with a win and in scenario next week. So week 18 is setting up to be a good one, right? Shout out to the Bears finishing strong, right? Where does Justin Fields needs to go? I don't think he needs to go anywhere. I think you just need to provide pieces for him to build around. Get him an offensive line, get him some more receivers, get him a running back, and just see what happens. I think the Bears should be just fine with Justin Fields there behind that quarterback. The Packers keeping their playoff hopes alive with a much-needed victory against a division rival, the Minnesota Vikings, eliminating them from playoff contention. The Broncos, Jarrett Stidham, somehow, some way keeping the Broncos. I mean, I mean, their season's over, but I mean, just keeping them somewhat relevant and having a decent season. I mean, finishing 500 or finishing one above 500 looks a lot better than finishing one below 500. I'll say that. So a lot of good performances. Texans are fighting. That's all I got to say. And then the Cleveland Browns, the Dukies. I mean, Joe Flacco coming off the couch, looking like he may be the shocker of the NFL postseason. He may lead the Browns to the NFC Championship. The AFC Championship, excuse me. We got some football to play. We got some action to see, but man, oh man, the Browns look good, heating up at the right time. What bad do you got for me? What bad or ugly do you got for me if you want to combine them? Muted.
The officiating in the the Cowboys game, I'm glad to hear that they are potentially not going to be officiating in the playoffs or the Super Bowl. I mean,
they're out.
Yeah, you need to be punished. And like Jake had mentioned earlier on this season, is they need to have a press conference too, because they're when the players aren't doing their jobs or coaches aren't doing their jobs, they're getting grilled. Same thing needs to happen to these refs. That it was egregious. It was awful. It was terrible. Yeah. It was almost as bad as I was at the Kings game last night. And, there was a ball that went off of Paulo, and literally there wasn't a King player around, and they called it. They called it on the Kings, and then they hit a shot to take it to double overtime. So the officials, they need to just stay back a little bit, because they're getting too involved in these games. And it seems like, that was clearly egregious. They clearly wanted the Cowboys to win. They clearly wanted to do everything they could to prevent Detroit from winning that game. And
so much implications because of that decision.
Detroit would essentially be the second seed, if not the first. If 49ers lose this week, Detroit wins this week, Detroit's the number one seed. San Francisco wins this week, and Detroit wins this week.
Detroit's number two.
Number two.
Big so playoff implications.
Then you get to that, that divisional round. You're hosting Dallas instead of Dallas or whatever team is playing. So
big.
Just a terrible performance by the refs. I can't emphasize that anymore. Just awful. And then moving on, I mean, as far as, looking at Carolina, I mean, obviously one of the worst teams I've ever seen, just terrible. I mean, CJ Beathard, 26-0. It's, you're at home, you're not at home, but you need to have a little bit of pride. You need to have a bit of pride. And to go out like that is just, the coaching. I don't know.
What about their owner throwing the drink on the people?
Owner's awful, just you have billions of dollars or whatever you have, $100,000 billion, and you don't know how to comport yourself. So it's just acting like a child. So from the top down, just one of the ugliest things of this season has been the Carolina Panthers, one of the worst teams I've ever seen in my life. So just terrible. I know some of those Browns and Lions teams were bad too. Some of those San Francisco teams were bad. So I mean, it goes around. It was definitely their year to be the worst team. It just sucks they're not getting anything out of it. They gave up their pick for an overrated quarterback. Like I will say it again and look in the camera, don't ever draft Alabama quarterbacks. Only person that's ever really impressed me in my entire life has been Tua. That's it. And he didn't impress me Sunday. I don't know what's going to go on with the Dolphins, but that was an ugly performance.
Agreed.
19 points, just absolutely destroyed. Mm-hmm. I don't think the Ravens are that good. I just think the Dolphins played that bad.
Agreed.
So they're going to have to get it together. And try to pull something, because you cannot go into the playoffs, playing like that, or else you will get bounced in the first round. I don't care who you're playing.
Agreed.
And then, last but not least, Minnesota. I mean, just playing really bad football. Green Bay, 33 points. At Minnesota, I thought the game, I believe I picked the Packers, but I thought the game would be a little bit closer than what it was.
No, you unfortunately picked the Vikings.
Oh, I did. Okay.
Yeah.
I
unfortunately
should have picked the Packers. I literally, while I was watching the game, I actually thought I had picked the Packers. So that was just a screw up on my side. But there was, even if I picked the Vikings, I did not think they were going to win.
No, I agree.
Yeah. So, Green Bay, a little bit of spark towards the end of the season. That's what you need, right? Hanging in there. I know Dallas does not want to play Green Bay because we know what happened the last time. I think it was like 2016 or 2017. I know Jordan loves Aaron Rodgers, but that team went into your stadium. Yeah. You had the number 1 or number 2 seed, and they put them out of commission. So, that's pretty much what I saw. I know that Bengal game was a little bit rough. Just
unfortunate.
Beat Kansas City, playing every game at home type stuff.
Yeah,
and that's basically what we saw. I mean, I don't know about you, but I can't stand watching the Chiefs when they're at home. I don't know what it is. It's just like the refs
officiating as well.
It's I feel like the refs grounding. That was terrible. The officiating, So the highlight of this week, the uglies of this week, definitely the officiating.
Agreed. I mean, there's nothing uglier than bad officiating, and that is exactly what we got. The other bad from that Lions-Cowboys game was Dan Campbell being consumed by ego and going for that 2-point conversion when he should have just kicked the field goal to begin with, gone into overtime, and they most likely would have won that game regardless. So Dan Campbell let his anger and his ego and his arrogance and all of that just bleed out into his team because going for 2 after getting that penalty is ridiculous. So Lions kind of shot themselves in the foot there at the end. I mean, Brad Allen has to be better. I mean, it is clear as day that Taylor Decker is the one speaking to him as Skipper is just running onto the field. Taylor Decker is actually on the field. So it is 100% Brad Allen's fault for saying the wrong number. And I'm sure it was just because Skipper must have been blocking Taylor Decker when he looked back, but he didn't really look back. So I don't know what Brad Allen was doing. They asked him questions after the game, and his responses were not good at all. So I'm glad that his crew and him will be out of the playoffs, not costing any teams. But yeah, officiating around the NFL, and I've hit on it this season. It's been horrible. It has been absolutely horrible. You're calling an intentional grounding flag when Jake Browning throws the ball 2 feet from Joe Mixon. Where's the intentional grounding? You're costing teams massive drives. You're costing teams plays, successful plays. So NFL refereeing, NFL officiating needs to be looked at seriously this offseason. I imagine it's going to play a massive role in the postseason. I can't wait to see what happens in the Super Bowl. But NFL officiating, definitely the major bad, ugly thing from this week. I mean, what other bad ugly? I mean, yeah, aside from the Vikings, like going to their rookie quarterback who clearly isn't ready, ugly. I mean, the Los Angeles Chargers, Easton Stick, ugly, not a good product. The Tennessee Titans, ugly, do not look good at all. I mean, Washington Commanders didn't look good. The Atlanta Falcons, I mean, the most inconsistently consistent team, or the consistently inconsistent team in the NFL, the Atlanta Falcons, again. I mean, I guess they don't either want the division or a playoff spot. So, and then, yeah, I mean, full back around all the way. I mean, just to the Bengals. I mean, what a season. It's unfortunate. It is bad. It is terrible. We'll see what happens in the offseason. Lots of retooling to do. Got to tighten up the offensive line. Got to get a tight end. Got to figure out what we're doing with these receivers. And then most importantly, Joe Burrow needs a full, healthy preseason, offseason, free agency, NFL draft, all leading up to next season. Joe Burrow needs to be healthy. That is the number one thing that needs to happen. But the Bengals season ends with elimination. Unfortunate. Always next year, I guess. That's gonna do it. That is going to do it for this edition of The Good and the Bad, the Ugly. You know what time it is. NFL week number 17 is done. We are on to the last week of the NFL week number 18. It is going down. We have a ton of scenarios going down next week that we will get into. We are excited to talk about. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Brandon, any last words for the people?
We got to, this week, kind of just sit back and relax. I think both of us. So, just sit back and enjoy it. Emotions won't be too high. And just crazy to think that, we're in the final week of the season. It feels like we just started this season at this show yesterday.
I agree. I mean, this season has flown by. We are into the last week of the season. We are on the cusp of Super Wildcard Weekend. We're done with week 17. We're on to week 18. So that's going to do it. I am Jacob Cutler, one half of the Sports Guys. He is the other half of the Sports Guys. He is Brandon Sullivan. And together, we make up the Sports Guys. And until our picks episode, Brandon and Jake, we're out.